Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, college football fans across the nation and around the world. This is Tim May with the Tim May Show. Coach Cooper, John Cooper, they named a show after me. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. That should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah, it used to be the John Cooper Show.
I would watch your show. You know that.
Yeah, I know you would, man.
Anybody knows anything about college football, we're talking to him right here.
Yeah, and vice versa here, ladies and gentlemen. You've taken a team to, way back when you were a head coach. I mean, you were assistant coach all across the country, and then you were a head coach at Tulsa, Arizona State, and The Ohio State University. And I think you took a team with teams that went into over 90 stadiums around the country. And, of course, Ohio State's headed to Notre Dame for the first time since 1996. And you happen to be the head coach of Ohio State in 1996. Took a team in there and kicked butt, just like you guys had done in 1995, the first time these two teams had gotten together in, 60 years?
60
and y'all
years,
kicked
yes.
butt right here in this stadium. I still see Terry Glenn going about 70 against the Allen Rossum, the fastest man in college football, and Terry Glenn outran him. My point is, you've seen a lot of places, you've been a lot of places, seen a lot of football, and here goes Ohio State back to Notre Dame Stadium for the first time since 1996. That's almost a crime, isn't it? That you're this close and you haven't played?
Absolutely.
I know they played bowl games, but you know what I'm saying.
Nobody's got more respect for Notre Dame than I have. I think you and I talked about that. I've traveled and coached all over the country. Never questioned the integrity of that program. Lou Holtz, a great football coach. I coached against him even when I was at Tulsa and he's at Arkansas, But no, that was my 150th victory. It was up there. Down here in 65 and up there in 66 is two of the greatest wins I had.
95, 96.
Yeah, 95, 96,
yeah.
two of the greatest wins I had in my coaching career.
Yeah, and what do you remember? We don't need to get into the details necessarily of that 95 game, but that was a harbinger game in the sense of it showed what you guys were capable of. Obviously, what my good friend Bruce Hooley had a great line after that game, because I don't know if you remember when you were coming out of the old tunnel, you tripped coming out.
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
Yeah, but I mean, he wrote a great line. He goes, the theme then was win one for the tripper, which I thought was one of the greatest lines ever. Give him credit because he's going through a little bit of a tough time right now. Bruce Hooley is. But then that kind of set the table. You had Eddie George, you had Terry Glenn, you had Bobby Hoying in his third year as a starting quarterback. Really good defense with Matt Finkus, Luke Fickell, Mike Vrabel, just Sean Springs. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Pretty good offensive left tackle.
And yes, a guy named Orlando Pace. Was that his name?
Orlando
Was
Pace.
that his name? But the bottom line is, what a star-studded team, and yet people were still kind of doubting you going into that game, right? And you flipped it on its ear.
Only that could happen at the Ohio State University. What have you done for me lately?
Yes, exactly.
But those two teams, 95, 96, I don't think you're going to see a better football team. I know this. You're not going to see a more talented football team than we had particularly in 96.
Yeah. I was going to say, because in 95, you had all these stars. 96, to me, was the more interesting victory, because we'll get into it in a minute. But you replaced a bunch of those guys. Bobby Hoying was gone. Ricky Dudley was gone. Terry Glenn was gone. But you still had that left tackle named Orlando Pace. Still the greatest lineman I've ever seen in college football.
And we had those defensive linemen you're talking about.
Yeah, you had a few defensive linemen, Mike Vrabel, Luke Fickell, and Matt Finkus. You had Sean Springs still.
Pretty good linebackers.
Antoine Winfield.
Greg Belisari.
A guy named Andy Katzenmoyer.
Andy Katzenmoyer, he wasn't too bad.
So freshman, y'all were bringing along. But what was the confidence level going up there in 1996? Because, like you said, it was just a second trip ever for Ohio State to that stadium, that fabled place.
One guy you haven't mentioned is Fred Puggich, my defensive coordinator, and we started that silver bullet defense, or Fred Puggich did. Yeah. And we opened it, a little bit like this year. We opened the season Rice, I think we beat them 70-7, and we beat Pitt 72-0 or something like that.
Y'all parboiled Rice.
And we didn't blitz. We played just a standard defense. We went up there and got off the bus, blitzing their quarterback, got after their quarterback, Ron Paulus. But one time, people thought he was going to win the Heisman Trophy.
Three times.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a minute.
But we got after him pretty good. We had great talent on that football team.
Yeah, but what was the? Let's get to the real crux of it, though. You had two quarterbacks, Stan Jackson and Joe Germain, and you played them both. I mean, when everybody was talking several weeks ago about Ohio State needing to figure out who their starting quarterback was, I go, well, the last time Ohio State went to Notre Dame, it played both quarterbacks, and both were effective in that game in certain ways. Obviously, Demetrius Stanley got that game going with that ridiculous kickoff return. But from then on, it was a little bit of a landslide going downhill, wasn't it?
We played them both those quarterbacks all not only in that game but all year long.
Yeah.
And people got a short memory. That's the team that won the Rose Bowl game. You know?
Yes.
In that game, Stan was 9 out of 15 for 154 yards. Joe only threw 5 passes, but completed 4.
Yes.
So we played them both.
Yeah, and Pepe Pearson had taken the place of Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George. It was like a little bit of a running back by committee, but Pepe, 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not too bad, is it?
Not too bad. Orlando Pace had 5 pancake blocks. The pancake blocks when you put the guy right on his back, you know.
Yeah.
That was a great football team, but we haven't even talked about the secondary.
Yeah. Well,
Ohio State will not ever have a better secondary than that year. How about these 2 defensive backs, Antoine Winfield and Sean Springs?
Yeah.
They weren't bad. Yeah,
no, just
right.
joking. By the way, real quick, Antoine Winfield, who I have always thought pound for pound is the best defensive player I've ever covered at Ohio State. I've never seen a guy tackle like Antoine Winfield was about this tall. He still is. Excuse me.
Tim, I tell people, recruit, and get players that can play better than you can coach.
Yeah.
Antoine Winfield had instinct. Antoine Winfield and David Foster are 2 of the best players I ever had in the secondary, and both of them, you don't teach instinct.
No.
The ball, if it's a running play, he's up making a tackle. If it's a pass, he's back intercepting the pass, or playing pass defense. And he even his son,
Yes.
is playing in the National
Ohio
Football League
State
right now.
passed on for some reason.
That's a mistake. That
was a major mistake. I remember doing a story on him when he came here for a camp, and just the greatest guy you ever met. I mean, the young man is, and turned out to be a hell of a football player. He's already won a Super Bowl.
He can play better than you can coach.
Yes, exactly. But the point is, y'all go up there, Coach Cooper. Had you ever coached in that stadium before? I'm trying to remember in your fabled history.
I've never been in that stadium before.
Never been in that stadium before.
But I had a great experience. Not only, I think I told you this story.
Well, wait a minute. Let's finish this
All
up.
right, okay.
How do you get your team ready to go to a place it's never been? Meaning, it's not like going to Northwestern or Rutgers. I'm talking about going into a stadium that Newt Rockne was built in the latter years of Newt Rockne's abbreviated tenure there because of the plane crash. But they were just expanding it then. They didn't have the upper deck, the upper level opened yet from the expansion. But how did you get your team ready to go into such a place against a really good football team?
Tim, you don't have to get your team ready to go to Notre Dame. Are you kidding me? That's
I'm just
Dame.
trying to lay it up there so you can swat it.
Notre Dame. I was disappointed in the stadium. Like you said, it was under construction, all that kind of stuff. Maybe 60,000 people.
Yeah.
But
back then,
I had great respect for Notre Dame throughout my coaching career, and particularly Lou Holtz.
Yeah. And why? Why for Lou Holtz? What stood out about the way he handled himself, the way he coached? Obviously, Urban Meyer was on that staff up there.
Yeah, Urban was on that staff up there. And Urban, I never talked to Urban about it because Lou ran the program, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I knew Lou from when I coached at Tulsa. Lou was the head coach at Arkansas.
Right.
I never will forget, we'd get up Saturday morning, we'd spend the Friday night in Tulsa, get up and eat the breakfast, get bus over to Arkansas, play them tough every year over there. They'd always beat us, of course, and I never will forget going out and meeting him. Coach, you did a great job today, boy. You had your team ready to play. Blah, blah, blah. I couldn't wait to pay him back, even here and up there. Next year when we beat him.
Hey, remember, real quick, what were those post-game midfield meetings like with him here in '95? Oh, he would.
The first thing you do. Of course, I always shook hands with the coach, after the game, win or lose.
Yeah.
And Coach Cooper, boy, you did a great job. You had your team ready to play today. You guys were well coached. You were tough. I want to say, hey, get out of here,
Yeah, exactly.
I turned and moved, but I couldn't wait. I ran out to see him in midfield after that game up there.
What do you remember him saying there? Was it obviously he was nice to you and stuff, but I mean, could you tell in the look in his face he'd just gotten his butt whipped?
Oh, absolutely, and he admitted it. His comments after the game I thought were great. That's one of the best victories we had the time I coached there. I mean, some of the stats in that game, for example, I wrote them down a while ago. Notre Dame had 93 yards and 6 first downs in the first half.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We had 283 to 93 in the first half. 22-7 at halftime. It could have been worse than it was.
Yeah. Bottom line is when you get in a heavyweight match, a heavyweight boxing match, come out and hit that other guy as fast as you can, right? Just
we did that.
He's in a fight.
We did that.
And y'all did that.
Opening kickoff.
Yeah.
Demetrius Stanley, who's a very, very, very unrated wide receiver for us. He and Terry Glenn weren't too bad,
Yes.
Terry Glenn down here, I never will forget that play.
Yeah. Yeah.
82 yards to the house against one of the better defensive backs that ever played the game.
And then Demetrius Stanley, obviously that great kickoff return against Notre Dame, it got the ball rolling, pardon the pun. Obviously, he played such a huge role in that comeback win, that drive to win the Rose Bowl. Obviously, David Boston caught the winning touchdown pass, but it was Demetrius Stanley that helped get you down there and stuff. And rest in peace to Demetrius Stanley.
Absolutely. Another thing I'm pointing out, Luke Fickle actually got an interception up there.
That's right. That's right.
We blitzed both safeties, dropped the linebacker out, and the quarterback threw it right to it.
Yeah. It's funny. Well, I want to get your take on this coming game for this week, but it has a lot of the same kind of like look to it. I mean, you've got a quarterback who would rather stay in the pocket and throw the ball, and it's Sam Hartman, the transfer from Wake Forest, who's done a hell of a job the first 3 games. Actually, they've played 4 games now. The first 4 games, he's done a hell of a job. But he likes to stay in the pocket, and they like to run power, and then they like to throw the ball over the top, and underneath and things like that. But this is an interesting matchup when you look at it, isn't it?
It is an interesting matchup, but I think we're going to see the same thing that we did to them up there. I think you're going to see our defense. We haven't seen our defense yet this year.
Right.
I think we're going to put pressure, which I think we have to, make him throw some bad plays. The team that makes the fewest mistakes wins the game. We've got to force some turnovers, got to get some interceptions, maybe fumble recovery, be sound in the kicking game, and run the football, keep it away from him.
Yeah. And Jim Knowles is sort of, I'm not saying he's become conservative. What he has become, kind of like what you were talking about with Fred Puggett and John Tenuta when he came along. You got great players on this side of the ball. Don't screw it up with too much scheme, right? I mean, kind of just get after it. And,
let them play.
Yeah, and you've seen Jim Knowles kind of dabble in some things the first couple of weeks, like a 4-man rush with both linebackers blitzing through the A gaps. 3-man rush with both linebackers blitzing through the A gap, like against Youngstown State. Some other little things he sprinkled in, but like you said, I don't think he's played his hand yet, right?
I think the thing that a lot of people don't know about Coach Knowles is he's great at making adjustments. And we'll make some adjustments for Notre Dame up there.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And he even admitted, at the end of the Georgia game, the fourth quarter, you're up 3 scores at one point. Why get fancy? And they got a little fancy. They really wanted to deliver the killer blow, and instead it went the other way around.
Make them beat you the hard way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What should be Ryan Day's mental approach to this game, for want of another term, psychologically? Should he be getting this team ready to go up there and just let it all hang out like he did against Georgia, that he didn't do against Michigan? What would be, because y'all let it all hang out, what should be the approach in a game like this?
One thing I think you got to do, Tim, is don't make them better than they are. Make them beat you on the field. Don't let them beat you before you go up there and play the game. Go up there and play our game. We got as good or better players than Notre Dame's got, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We've done a great job recruiting. We started expanding, as you know, when I came here. You got to go nationwide, and we've done that. We got players from all over, California, Texas, Arizona, all over. Start at home. Don't ever overlook an in-state player. If it's close, take the in-state player. But if you're going to play with Alabama and Georgia and USC and Texas and Notre Dame and teams like that, you got to recruit. We recruit, and get players that can play better than you can coach.
Yeah.
And we're doing that.
Yeah.
We got excellent talent. We got good skilled people. We got good coaches. We got a good football team that could become even better and maybe even a great football team by the end of the year. Let's go up there and let them turn it loose.
Yeah, and I've said this million times, Coach Cooper, because most people forget. Everybody wants to remember you in 2-10-1 against Michigan. You're the second winningest coach in Ohio State history, number one. But number two, y'all played offense, man. From the late, actually even at the beginning. But when you got those players assembled, like Eddie George, like Terry Glenn, right on down the line, all the guys we can name before that and after that, Robert Smith. basically, you took the approach that I would always take. If you outscore somebody, that's a win. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all played damn good defense on many of those seasons too. But yeah, you look at this Ohio State offense. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. from Pennsylvania, Emeka Egbuka from Seattle, Washington.
Two of the best wide receivers in college football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your quarterbacks from the same school as Marvin Harrison Jr., St. Joe's Prep in Philadelphia. Right on down the line, it's a mix of Ohio and out of state guys. But
the other quarterback was coached. We got here, Brown was coached by
Joe Germain.
Joe
Devin
Germain,
Brown,
absolutely.
up until his senior year.
Yeah.
And Joe Germain moved back to his alma mater to be the head coach in the Phoenix area. And Devin Brown went to Corner Canyon High School up in Utah and had a hell of a year. I mean, I know you like him, right? You like Devin Brown. I mean, you like what you've seen.
Yeah,
I want to ask you
absolutely.
this.
Absolutely.
Have you liked the way Ryan Day handled the quarterback derby? Because you got two very talented fellas, 5 stars, can't miss prospects. Don't you owe it to yourself and the team to figure it out sort of on the field?
Tim, I don't question anything Ryan Day does with those quarterbacks.
Why?
There isn't a better quarterback coach in college football or pro football, in my opinion, than Ryan Day.
And why do you say that?
He does a great job. I mean, look at the results, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. Would I play them both? Probably. But he's a head football coach. I don't ever second guess anything he does.
Yeah. But what stood out to me, though, is he stood in the face of mounting criticism the first couple of weeks and just kind of went with the idea, I still want to give these guys both some kind of shot on the field to show them
he's coaching. He's coaching at Ohio State.
Exactly, exactly. And you never heard any criticism.
No. Woody, me and Earl, Woody, Truss, Urban, all of us. We coached here. We're all in the College Hall of Fame, but we don't coach here anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Pardon this interruption of this great conversation I'm having with John Cooper, but I wanted to let you know about an amazing product that's come into my life in the last few days. It's HelloFresh, the HelloFresh meal kits. My wife and I tried them for the first time, and we loved them. HelloFresh, in case you aren't familiar with the product, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. That allows you to skip trips to the grocery store, and you can count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Remember, cooking is involved. This isn't a microwavable kind of situation. These are real meals with delicious portions and ingredients. For example, the other night, my wife made this creamy dill pork tenderloin meal, which included green beans, couscous, and of course the pork tenderloin, which comes with the meal. Yeah, the meat comes with the meal. But what really made it was the special sauce that my wife was able to conjure up by the directions listed on the back. It was as tasty as anything you're going to find in any gourmet restaurant. Remember, all you have to have on hand are salt and pepper, butter, eggs, and your favorite cooking oil, whatever you need. But HelloFresh provides the rest. It allows you also to expand these recipes to feed more than 2. But my wife and I really enjoyed the meal for just 2. It was quite filling and quite delicious. And the bottom line is, you can also, they have a great offer going for you if you respond to this Lettermen Row advertising. You've got to go to HelloFresh.com/50Lettermen and use the code 50Lettermen for 50% off. Plus, you'll get 15% off of your next 2 months' orders. Remember, go to HelloFresh.com/50Lettermen and use the code 50Lettermen for 50% off, plus 15% off the next 2 months. Like I said, my wife and I really enjoyed it. You could smell it cooking, and we're looking forward to trying even more recipes as this goes on, because there are 40 recipes available right now with over 100 add-on items. You could have them stuffed in that sack that comes with your meal. So HelloFresh, we found it's the way to go. I hope you do too. Now let's get back to my conversation with John Cooper. Before I did that HelloFresh commercial, Coach Cooper, you were talking about the pressure. You were alluding to the pressure. hardly any head coach here leaves of his own accord, you know? At least it's been my experience covering this team for 40 years.
Tim, I may point out one other thing. People got a short memory. There's some pretty good coaches here in the mid-'90s.
Yes.
You know, Joe Paterno and you know, Lloyd Carr and Bo Schembecker and Hayden Fry and Barry Alvarez and
Lou Holtz at Notre Dame, like you said.
Lou Holtz. How about Nick Saban?
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't bad at Michigan State.
Yeah.
And
He was pretty good. He turned out to be pretty good.
Purdue had a good coach and a great quarterback. Drew Brees wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Tom Brady wasn't too bad. Big Ten football was really, really sound and really good in the 90s, in my opinion.
What do you think about it now? I mean, I think it's pretty good these days. I mean, there are a couple of programs going through a renaissance or trying to get a renaissance going. But
Michigan's gotten a lot better the last few years. They went through for about 10, 12 years when they weren't very good.
Yes.
You know, they changed their offense. You know, instead of running the ball and being physical like they are now, and like they used to be. When Bo was up there and Lloyd Carr was up there, they run, you know, trying to little guys, fast guys. You don't win in the Big Ten with small, you know, little slow guys. Scatbacks.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You're going to play a couple of games in the wind and the snow and the rain, and you better be able to play defense and you better be able to run the ball.
What have you seen? Because you pay attention to this. What have you seen different about Ryan Day compared to maybe the middle of the year last year? I'm just talking about the way he's approaching things. Obviously, you know, whether anybody at Ohio State admits it, I think they bristled at this narrative that was developing, that they're a finesse team on offense. I think he has been bound and determined the first 3 games of this year, and we'll see what happens on Saturday night at Notre Dame, to put the physicality definitely back into it, calling for a violent approach like this past week going into that Western Kentucky game. You got to be that way. I mean, at Ohio State, you do have to finally have that physical component, right, that you can count on.
Tim, you got to do that. The game has changed. When I was a young kid, it was a single wing, and everybody played 8-man front.
Yeah.
But then next thing you know, it's a wing T, and everybody went to the 50 defense, the Okie defense, you know, slant and angle.
Yeah.
Then it was the option, and everybody was now playing 4-3.
Triple
then
option, either the veer or the wishbone. Yeah.
And now it's a spread.
Yeah. Well, by the way, you left out the I formation too. That was pretty
I left
big.
out the I formation, and I left out the wishbone and all that option. But now it's a spread. Everybody's running a spread.
Yeah.
And you better have skilled people. You better have wide receivers, which we have a few wide receivers. You know, about 6 or 8 of them that can play anywhere in the country, and 2 or 3 of them are. Harrison's the best in college football, no question about it, in my opinion. But you spread out like that, you better have some defensive backs over there that can run. You don't ask a guy to do something he can't do. You don't get in the, you know.
Exactly. Don't say that on the air.
No, I
keep my
you know what I'm talking
clean.
about. Yeah. But you got to be able to run. So you got to recruit. That's why everybody's recruiting nationwide. Everybody's recruiting speed. Everybody's running the spread. Everybody's throwing the ball. We copy what somebody else does. And who knows now? But now people are starting to get, you know, tighten down a little bit and run the ball.
Because
you beat Michigan.
Everybody's recruited for that other thing.
Exactly. You beat Michigan, you better be able to run the football.
Yeah.
You better be able to stop their running game because they're going to run.
Yeah.
Not only do these people have good, including us, we talk about wide receivers. We got a few defensive or offensive running backs that can play too.
Yeah.
Michigan does. Penn State does. But them ain't going to change. You start on the West Coast, it's going to be USC. Come this way, it's going to be Texas. It's going to be Oklahoma. It's going to be Alabama, Georgia, Florida, LSU. Oklahoma, it's going to be Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I don't care if we got NIL, you know, whatever. But it ain't going to change.
Once you lose your grip, though, you left out a team there. Once you lose your grip,
Notre Dame.
It's hard to get back. No, Nebraska. Man, remember how good they were? Remember when you were with Pepper Rogers at, Kansas? And y'all played Nebraska every year, and it's like they're fighting to get back to that. Do you think they can?
No, I don't think they can.
Too far out there, aren't they?
There's not even players. There's not many high school players.
Yeah.
The good. You win with talent. And those teams I mentioned, the best is USC.
Yeah.
You know, 40 million people, 39 million people live in California. USC is a private school. Get anybody to school. Then you come to Texas, down south down there. You go to Georgia, great high school football. Florida, LSU, all those players stay at home. Ohio we got 11 million, 12 million people live here. Start at home, keep the good players at home. Michigan does a good job recruiting, probably nationwide. Great academic school,
Yeah.
great tradition, and the big house and all that stuff. But it ain't going to change. But you got to recruit.
Okay.
The team that's got the best players usually wins.
Yeah. I want to ask you this before we get out of here. Your history. You're a fan, a history buff of college football and stuff. So many things have changed recently with all the conferences expanding, the two major conferences expanding, Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten. Now you're going to have next year USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington in the Big Ten. Who saw that coming 5 years ago? Not me. But Notre Dame is still sitting out there, a quasi-independent. Does Notre Dame eventually need to be in the Big Ten? What is your take on that?
We tried real hard when I was coaching here to get Notre Dame to come to the league, and I think that's a mistake. I think they need to be. I'd love to see them in the old Big Ten.
It'd be natural.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. But I don't know. I don't like it. How you gonna? There's not going to be no Rose Bowl anymore.
Yeah.
In the
It's
old days,
going to be a Rose Bowl, but it's not going to be the.
It ain't going to be Ohio. It ain't going to be the winner of Ohio State Michigan game going to the Rose Bowl every year.
Right.
But
what stands out is, you're sitting here. The Big Ten's going to have Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, USC. Those are four of Notre Dame's big-time rivals over the years. Obviously USC Notre Dame is almost as storied as Ohio State, Michigan. Almost as storied as Texas, Oklahoma.
You know how you get them in your league, don't you? You don't play them.
Yeah. Joe Paterno said that about 30 years ago, and everybody.
I said that. I said that in the Big Ten meetings. When I was head coach here, we had a meeting. We tried to get them in the Big Ten, and
remember they were almost coming, and then their alumni said, "No, we don't want to do it."
Yeah, if they don't come in the league, don't play them.
Yeah.
Who are they going to play? Every year they play Michigan State. They play Purdue, right?
Yeah.
Every year, don't play.
Well,
them.
they have in the past, not
Yeah.
necessarily every year, but it's been off and on. And the rivalry with Michigan is one of the great ones ever. And like I said, but now USC is going to be sitting here. If they make Big Ten teams play, possibility of playing 10 games, down the road.
Yeah.
In conference, you're probably not going to play Notre Dame in September. You know what I mean? In 1st of September or something. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So the freeze out could happen.
It could happen, and then to be honest with you, I don't think they're as good as they used to be. I mean, the Fighting Irish, Newt Rockday and way back, and they had a lot of great football coaches and a lot of great players and a lot of great teams.
Yeah. Well, last thing, Coach, you'll probably get asked this question a million times. Who do you like Saturday night at at Notre Dame? Stadium that's expanded. You got Touchdown Jesus, which you can still see over the north end zone. Who do you like on Saturday night and why?
The team with the best players usually wins. I think we have better talent than they got. Now I do like their quarterback. I think he's made them a lot better than they would have been had he not transferred in here. Another thing, I don't like the portal. I don't like to be able to transfer and be immediately eligible like they're doing now. But if we play our best game and they play their best game, we'll win the game. If we don't and they play their best, the team that makes the fewest mistakes in this game team is going to win the game. That's one of my 10 commandments. The first one: the team that makes the fewest mistakes wins. But I think Ohio State will beat them. Yeah.
Did you see this coming from Marcus Freeman way back when? Becoming
no.
coach?
I don't. Well, I thought he'd be a head coach someday. I didn't know if he.
Yeah. No, but I mean, what stands out about him in your opinion?
Recruiting, and he obviously did a great job down in Cincinnati. For Coach Fickle, Luke Fickle, that guy. I'm proud of Luke Fickle, Mike Grable. Two of my ex-players here, head coaches in the pros, and Luke Fickle's a great football coach, but they can recruit and they can coach. And they teach fundamentals. That's a secret now. Recruit good players, but you also got to teach them how to bend their knees, how to tackle. Don't balls thrown, intercepted, don't knock it down, get the interception. That's what we got to do. We get more turnovers. Yeah. Do
you like the way?
I don't get excited about breaking up a pass.
Yeah, I got you.
But
sometimes a breakup's better than a catch.
but an interception's better than that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Intercept ball is thrown. It's thrown to me. That's the attitude
it's like
you have to have.
a field goal and a touchdown. You still get something out of it.
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely.
Hey, let's say, do you like the way this defense is playing? We talked about it earlier, but it looks like the secondary is taking a notch, taking several steps up from a confidence standpoint. That Igbinosin kid, talk about the transfer portal, came over here from Ole Miss, et cetera. I think has really helped them. The kid number 1, Jordan Hancock number 7. And Denzel Burke, number 10, the cornerbacks especially seem to be playing with a little bit of confidence. Do you like what you see out there?
They're getting better. They're getting better. But ball's thrown is thrown to me. Go make the interception. We only got one. We didn't get corners didn't get interceptions last year. We did get one, early in the year here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's coming from a safety who played for the Dirty 30 back at Iowa State way back when, a native of East Tennessee. Well, I guess Knoxville, Powell. That's East Tennessee.
I grew up a big Tennessee fan. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
General Neyland.
General
Neyland Stadium.
Back when coaches had nicknames, and of course he was a general, I guess, in the Army.
But
right?
Tim, I was going to be a high school football coach.
Yeah.
And I interviewed for a job. But we can't hire you. You don't have any experience. What I do, I thought I was going back home. I went instead of going home, I went 2,000 miles the other way to Oregon State.
Oregon State.
But Oregon State, we went to the Rose Bowl there in '64. They haven't been back.
Yeah.
Went to the Rose Bowl at UCLA and beat the best college football team I've ever seen in my life until this day, Michigan State. Duffy Doherty and all those Michigan State players. Anyway, I've been around the country, seen a lot of them.
By the way,
this is a great place to coach.
But I was a big Alabama fan back then, and y'all beating Michigan State put the dominoes in effect for Bear Bryant winning his second straight national championship at Alabama, 64 and 65.
I did mention Alabama, didn't it? One of the great teams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you mentioned Alabama as one of those great teams. Well, Coach Cooper, it's always a pleasure, as you know, not just playing golf with you, but talking with you. A couple times you've been on my podcast, the Tim May Show, and I appreciate it. One last thing I wanted to ask you. If you could change anything about this football team, Ohio State, right now, what would it be? That's kind of hitting you from sideways, but
yeah, you
took notes on that other stuff.
Get back, silver bullet defense. 11 guys chasing the ball, getting there in a bad mood. Now we're doing that. We're not doing that like we did in the mid-'90s.
But do you see the possibilities?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're getting better. That's the thing about it. Yeah. We're getting better. We played much better this past week than we did the first two ball games, in my opinion. We'll play better up there next week. We'll show some things up there, like we talked about earlier, and like we did. You don't have to show a lot to beat Youngstown State.
Yeah.
In Western Kentucky. Yeah. But you go up there, you don't try to hide anything. Come out there, ready to go.
Yeah.
And they will. We will.
Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable John Cooper, thanks for joining the Tim May Show. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you then.